time to take our yearly break. Not to study game animation, but fear, dread, and isolation. I was going to try and rhyme throughout the whole video, but I'm not doing that. Metroid games are special to many gamers, and I believe it's because they routinely return to a unique element that makes them stand out in the search action genre, their atmosphere. Whether it's throughout an entire game like Metroid Fusion, or just in a concentrated sequence like Metroid Prime, nearly every Metroid game, at its core, at some point, wants you to feel alone, oppressed, and tense. Each game accomplishes this in its own way with a core set of principles. Even back in Metroid, with its suffocating infinite blackness following you throughout the game, and no areas to save, meaning you had to dart to safer areas. Metroid 2 with its eerie soundscape and forgotten relics. Super Metroid's wrecked ship with those same aforementioned elements and added crumbs of horror. Metroid Fusion's use of low strings to accompany the dread and creepy, horrifying bosses that track you down during the game. And Metroid Prime's clever use of Samus's visor to immerse the player, reduce the senses, and plunge you into darkness. So what are some ways Metroid Prime 2 creates these atmospheres that fill you with dread, leave you feeling isolated, and have you checking every corner? Let's take a look. Metroid Prime 2 starts the game in a manner that hasn't really been explored so far. It really leans into the horror side of things, and not in the same way Metroid Fusion did. As you look around, you'll see many dead bodies killed in various ways. We've seen that in Super Metroid already. But then... this still makes me uneasy to this day. There's something very primal, no pun intended, about this image. Without getting into too much detail, the image of hanging bodies is, and in all honesty should be, awful to look at. And this is made more awful a little later when whatever they're hanging from is slowly dragging them up into the ceiling. Now, something I didn't mention enough in my previous Metroid Prime video is just how much more immersive things get when you use your scan visor to take in information from your surroundings. You can read data logs from these fallen soldiers and occasionally determine how they died. Some speak of colleagues going a bit mad, speaking of strange things, and one soldier apparently died of fear. He went into a cardiac arrest from something terrifying. Okay, so horrifying. Oh, but it's not quite over yet. If dead comrades hanging from the ceiling wasn't bad enough, they're suddenly possessed by a black entity spawning from another dimension, reanimating them into zombies, essentially. Great, so all those dead bodies you've seen, they're probably going to get up and attack you now. You know this adventure is going to be a little different to what you're used to. Your first taste of this other dimension is shortly after, where you first encounter Dark Samus, the remnants of Metroid Prime itself and your DNA, and you follow it into this other world, where you're left to die in the dark, being attacked from all sides. Seeing Samus's reaction once she returns makes us realise too that this has affected her, seeing her realisation that this is not normal. So, a strong opening. The other main thing that the rest of the game plays with is this other dark dimension. I'll run through the first encounter and lightly breeze over the other sections. If you've been scanning and reading, you'll be aware that the Luminoth have been fighting the Ing in Dark Aether and have created technology to help them, such as light crystals and weapons. So you've got a small idea of what's coming up. When you first arrive at a portal to Dark Aether, you're greeted with a huge device that needs powering up. You'll spend a short time figuring this out and getting the things you need, noticing interesting things such as interdimensional objects. And when you finally get it powered up, there's a cutscene that helps with the anticipation of the next area. When you land in Dark Aether, you're briefly shown what happens if you're not careful. The very air itself will harm you. Now, this isn't like a normal atmospheric disadvantage you get in other normal Metroid games, like one heated room, for example. This is a whole other half of the game. You don't know if you're going to get a suit to negate this effect. Note the more sinister rendition of the area music, by the way. You're told there's these light bubbles to stay safe in, so you're having to dart between these safe areas to breathe. It's almost like being underwater. So, not only do you have to deal with fighting off enemies with very little equipment, you're having to do it in very small spaces. This adds a whole other level to how this game deals with tension. It's not just a matter of fighting off enemy hordes until the next save station, it's literally staying away from the atmosphere as well. Sometimes you'll be amazed you managed to make it to a safe spot at all. This is how Metroid Prime 2 ramps up the tension and isolation. This whole motif surprisingly continues throughout the entire game. When you finally receive the dark suit, which you gain by having to fight a big boss, again darting between safe spots, the suit itself still doesn't negate the effect of Dark Aether's atmosphere. It merely reduces the harmful effects, but it still eats away at your suit, reducing your health. Now, this lets the game play around with safe spots and difficulty. Sure, you now have a suit which is stronger against the poisonous air, but what if the safe zones are further apart? You might not worry as much about getting to the next bubble, but you still need to be on your toes in case you accidentally let your health run out. This is most apparent in the notorious Boost Guardian arena, where there's no safe spots during the battle, with the toxic air acting as a timer until your death. Like how when you first land in Dark Aegon Wastes, you don't know if you'll get an upgrade to your suit or not. It turns out you don't until the end of the game, so it'll remain tense for the remaining areas, always looking out for the safe zones. It's fascinating how Prime and Prime 2 managed to handle tension and dread in different ways. Prime embraced the player's new perspective through the visor, while Prime 2 adds a whole different thing, barely even making use of Samus's visor. Though, having said that, there's still electronic interference, and there is that one area in Sanctuary Fortress where digital enemies can cause a mini EMP that disables your visor, requiring you to do a quick reset. The dark visor isn't used in the same way as the thermal visor, so there's no real areas which require you to sacrifice your senses. But some entities do try to possess you. Also, just going to bring this up now, Lower Torvus Bog is a super tense area just because it feels so much more claustrophobic, and that's before you even get to the dark version. Much like Prime 1, the music in Prime 2 is sublime, with the dark versions of each area always using this watery, metallic collapsing sound, and a ghostly voice that filters down. A particular musical highlight is the previously mentioned Lower Torvus Bog, a fan favourite. It's a haunting and appropriate rendition of Red Brinstar from Super Metroid, and works so well here, it has a much more fluid and watery feel about it. Something Prime 2 manages to achieve, along with Metroid Zero Mission, which you can check out right now, is to give the player a cathartic release in certain areas. The Quadraxis battle is a particular beauty. The tension is particularly high entering this arena, as you may have noticed pieces of a Quadraxis in the light world, and then when you enter, you see just how massive it is. It's a multi-phased, exciting boss battle with the atmosphere ticking down your life, but at the end you'll get the Annihilator Beam, combining both light and dark weapon energy. The last hurrah of the game sees Samus fighting the Ing Emperor, and once you're done, you have to outrun the traditional planetary explosion countdown. But, what's this? Another Dark Samus boss battle? During a countdown? This feels similar to the Omega Metroid battle in Metroid Fusion, where you have to fight it while the station is on its crash course with SR388, except that it's a bit more scripted and difficult to lose, whereas this fight is pretty tough and can be easy to lose on your first try. And then, once you've been through all that and the remaining Luminoff thank you, Samus just casually waves as she struts off. I wish I was as cool as a cucumber like Samus. Oh, and there's Metroids in this game or something. So after this breakdown, we can assess that Prime 2 still uses some traditional elements in creating atmosphere, like darkness, images of horror, and safe zone distances. Any stray thoughts? I like this bit in Aegon Wastes where you can see the pirates getting ready to go to the Dark World while you're sneaking around underneath. And I like this bit just before you encounter Dark Samus again, and you can see what's going on, but you're not able to get through there soon enough, so you just have to watch it happen. It's some really cool storytelling. I also love the lightning in Aegon Wastes. Just adds to that foreboding feeling and kind of signifies how unstable the area is. I love the Chica battle. It's cool how you have to use the Seeker missiles to first dislodge it and then knacker its wings. It's real fun. I love those sentinels that come alive in Sanctuary Fortress, and I love that Quadraxis is just a big version of the quads as well. Man, Quadraxis is just such a cool battle. And I love that the screw attack is locked up so tightly with all these mechanisms. Let me know what your favourite bit is that I forgot or missed in Metroid Prime 2 below, and be sure to check out my other video on how Metroid Zero Mission achieves its atmosphere. Thanks to my patrons for funding this one, and I'll see you next time with more animation stuff.